Biden trails Trump in states likely to decide 2024 U.S. election, polls show. Reuters. Democratic President Joe Biden trails Republican frontrunner Donald Trump in 5 of the 6 most important battleground states exactly a year before the U.S. election as Americans express doubts about Biden's age and dissatisfaction toward his handling of the economy, polls released on Sunday showed. The polls were conducted by the New York Times and Siena College. Trump, leading the field for his party's 2024 nomination as he seeks to regain the presidency, leads in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan. Below are your comments. The economy seems to be doing quite well despite all of the efforts to slow it down. I would like to know where the economy isn't doing well. I live in CA, and there has been no slowdown. I remember when the Fed stated their interest rate hikes, the goal was an unemployment rate of 4.9%, a FTER-ALTH. The key words in this poll is likely voters. When a pollster chooses the voter to poll, you can bet there is a built-in bias. I'll believe a poll when the selection of voters is verified as a random selection of voters using random methods of selection. Cannot understand what the American public is looking for. Would I like a younger Biden? Yes, but even if he is on life support, I will vote for him over Trump. Doodle. For those who say the Electoral College prevents the largest states from dominating elections, keep in mind that 5 of the 10 largest states, Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin and Michigan, voted for Trump in 2016 and Biden in 2020. All by small margins each time. And these was no cheating. I bet every Republican politician wants Trump gone. They are all wishing the DOJ will take care of Trump for them. They will not admit to it because they want Trump's supporters. Next news. Top House Republicans defend IRS cuts in GOP-led Israel aid bill. NBC News. House Speaker Mike Johnson, ARLA, and Majority Leader Steve Scalise, ARLA, on Sunday defended the cuts to IRS funding in a bill passed by the GOP-led House that would provide about $14 billion in aid to Israel amid its war with Hamas. Below are your comments. If they can gut the IRS, collect fewer taxes and protect the wealthy, they can then turn around and say we can't afford Social Security, Medicare, etc. Makes no logical sense to me. If everyone paid their fair share of taxes and investment in this country, the deficit would shrink. Since the GOP is fond of going back to past concepts, to match abortion rights going back to 1970, why don't we return the top tax brackets to 1970s percentages, too? That should more than fund aid for our allies, as well as generate a budget surplus. How can the Rs defend this when it adds so much to the deficit? I thought that was their big concern. I'm having a hard time considering voting for anyone who seems to flip on main stances so easily. These two have to dance to the tune of their owners, big donors, or they may lose their campaign fund. Ding, aka bribes. If the IRS has more staff, they might be able to catch those people cheating on their taxes, and they can't have that. There would be a shortage in their paychecks, not the one the. Of course they are for cutting funding for the IRS. There would be enough agents to investigate our tax returns and those of the rich. As long as they are investigating the poorer people, it's okay. Wake up, people. Next news. Decimated by division, Louisiana Democrats lost before balloting. The New York Times. Before a single ballot was cast, Louisiana Democrats knew they couldn't win control of the state legislature this year. It was mathematically impossible, because a lack of candidates meant they were not even contesting the majority of districts. Their best hope for political success rested with Shawn Wilson, a former state transportation secretary, in the expectation he would force a runoff against Jeff Landry, the state's hardline Republican attorney general, in an open primary for governor. Below are your comments. Many would like history to repeat itself for some and go back to guessing how many jelly beans are in the jar in order to vote. People can see the Democratic Party for what it is. A radical, America-hating group who doesn't represent the majority. Gerrymandering was supposed to give minorities a voice in government. Republicans have used it to make sure they never lose. Republicans use every trick possible to win. Gerrymandering denial of minority votes is their favorite, followed by limiting voting machines to be low what is needed in minority areas, discouraging standing in line for hours to vote. Passing laws preventing giving water to those waiting in line. Shawn Wilson was the Secretary of Transportation in the state with the worst roads in the nation. Can anybody say, unqualified? Next news. Trump has edge over Biden in key battleground states, polling indicates. Politico. The numbers painted a grim picture for the president. Below are your comments. I'm a lifelong Democrat that has never been polled. I also don't know a single person that has ever been polled. At least 20% of non-MAGA Republicans will not be voting for Trump in 2024. There is no way in Yale that this election will be close unless Republicans keep Democratic votes fr. Being circa. There is a simple solution that guarantees Biden a second term. First, he could win the election outright. No issue. Second, if he loses, he can simply declare that he won, and refuse to turn over power. Problem solved, right, Republicans? These polls should be taken with a note of caution. They are completely random and do not wait for the larger population numbers in urban and suburban areas of the states where Democrats dominate. Just because 60% of the polled people think the country is headed in the wrong direction doesn't mean that they support Trump. It probably means that they're fed up with Republican policy that hinders the general population. Politico's false narrative. You see, Americans are not against Biden per se. American voters realize that they are against Trumpism. It is so simple. We love our rule of law, our Constitution. We like a democratic republic. We love our freedoms to choose. It is just time to give Donald the next news. Blinken shuttles from the West Bank to Iraq trying to contain the fallout from the Israel-Hamas war. Associated Press. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken took his diplomatic push on the Israel-Hamas war to the occupied West Bank on Sunday, trying to assure Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas that the Biden administration was intensifying efforts to ease the plight of Gaza's civilians and insisting that Palestinians must have a main say in whatever comes next for the territory after the conflict. Blinken later flew to Baghdad for talks with Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani as America's forces in T. Below are your comments. For a start, how about they turn over all of the Hamas people and return the hostages? Gaza elected Hamas to represent them and still haven't renounced Hamas. They did not choose wisely. Greater than. Begin to sketch out a post-conflict scenario for the territory. Less than I recommend that they use a sketch toy because nothing will prove successful in that nightmarish part of the world. This current administration would not have been able to fight and win WW2. Israel needs to accept war assistance but ignore the advice to stop. Has Russia stopped in Ukraine? The starting point for a diplomatic solution. Palestine agrees to stop innocent Israelis. Why is this so hard to understand? If they can't agree to that, by definition, it's not a diplomatic solution. Next news. Axelrod suggests Biden drop out of 2024 presidential race. The Hill. Former President Obama's senior advisor David Axelrod on Sunday suggested President Biden drop out of the 2024 presidential race in the wake of a new poll showing the incumbent trailing former President Trump. Pointing to a New York Times and Siena College poll published Sunday, Axelrod wrote on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. It's below are your comments. What they're really saying is they want someone younger. But when it comes down to actual voting, and if the choice is between Biden and Trump, they'll do the same thing they did last time. Vote against Trump. I'm a lifelong conservative who lives in a very conservative area of Michigan, who rejected the Den. Wire-in-Chief in 2020. I firmly believe the same will happen in 2024 as too many of us recognize the danger with the Denny in office. Moreover, I'm also convinced he will be a convicted felon BEF. Axelrod should know better. When the pollsters get their call lists from the RNC, any poll results are predictable and certainly suspect. So supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just a very powerful light, And I think you said that hasn't been checked because of the testing, Trump said, speaking to Brian during the briefing. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, why? Next news. Zelensky pushes U.S. for more aid, invites Trump to Ukraine. Reuters. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky called on the U.S. to provide more funding to help his forces counter Russia, and invited former U.S. President Donald Trump to fly in to see the scale of the conflict for himself. Zelensky said American soldiers could eventually be pulled into a greater European conflict with Russia if Washington did not step up support. If Russia will bleep all of us, they will attack NATO countries and you will send your sons and dog HTERS to fight, Zelensky said. Below are your comments. I have never seen a country get so much aid during wartime, especially one with no historic relatio. Ship with the donor country. I don't think Trump is allowed to leave the U.S. while he is out on bail in 4 jurisdictions. Look, there are 500 countries in the world. Couldn't you borrow from someone else? We are having a hard time paying our own bills. Xi is asking just $40 billion for the budget deficit of 2023, which the U.S. can afford it easily. Since he has not a strategy for 2024, he will apply for a bit more later. He looked so wise when he said if there is a problem with cash, give us credit and we will pay later. Looks like Zelensky can't manage his war. He just wants more of our tax dollars. We have done enough. Next news. Zelensky invites Trump to Ukraine, says he needs just 24 minutes to explain to him why he can't be in peace. NBC News. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in an exclusive interview with Meet the Press that aired Sunday, invited Donald Trump to visit Ukraine after the former U.S. president promised he could end the war between Russia and Ukraine in 24 hours if he is re-elected in 2024. Below are your comments. If Trump really could stop the war, he would do it. What better way to win votes than by stopping the war while not even in office? It would be a very solid campaign platform that no one could dispute. So the fact that he doesn't shows that he can't. I've said this from the get-go. If he could stop the loss of life, why doesn't he? He's all talk. What does it matter if he's president or not? If he has a solution, then do it. But we all know his solution is to give Ukraine to Russia. Unacceptable. I can answer some of Zelensky's questions. There is no President Trump. There's a ex-president under felony indictment many times over named Trump, but there is no President Trump. Please let Trump take him up on the invitation and go to Ukraine to prove what a brave man he is, bone spurs and all, and let him tour the front lines and a minefield. Next news. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds will endorse Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for president, AP sources say. Associate. TED Press. Iowa Gov. Kim Reynolds plans to endorse Ron DeSantis for president, giving the Florida governor's 2024 campaign a boost as he struggles to show progress against Donald Trump in the Republican primary, two people familiar with the matter said Sunday. DeSantis has pinned his chances of emerging as an alternative to Trump squarely on Iowa. Reynolds is well liked within the GOP and will break with long-standing Iowa tradition to endorse DeSantis. Below are your comments. The Ron bought 2,000 feet is getting a much-needed lift for its campaign, but it needs two to move about evenly. And it is still likely to short-circuit and malfunction until being permanently retired to small war. LD with no further reboots. The politicians in Iowa are a far cry from the conservative leadership we need in the U.S. The last thing we need is another pseudo-conservative rhino in a position to influence our country. Though she liked the orange Gardozo, what happened? Did he try to grab and grease her up behind the corn bushes? She's not very smart. After Ron loses Prez race, perhaps he can become a spokesman for hidden shoelift boots. Lol. Next news. Iowa Governor Reynolds to endorse DeSantis presidential bid, source says. Reuters. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds will endorse Florida Governor Ron DeSantis's bid to be the Republican nominee in the 2024 presidential race on Monday, according to a source familiar with the matter. An endorsement from Reynolds could be a critical boost for DeSantis, who has fallen far behind former President Donald Trump in the race for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. The DeSantis campaign and Reynolds' office did not respond to requests for comment. Below are your comments. If he isn't smart enough to figure out he can't win this race, he isn't smart enough to be president. What a waste of time. We need somebody that we defiantly know can fix this mess. He has done it more than once already and he is always right. You know who that is, and it is not DeSantis. You want to keep your 8% plus mortgage rates, then go with DeSantis. Lol. Watch for Truth Social and the name calling, and what a terrible governor she is, etc. etc. From Guess WHO? Isn't interesting how the Trump campaign threatens other Republicans? What role models? PFFFT. Next news. Oregon Democratic U.S. Representative Earl Blumenauer reflects on 27 years in Congress and what comes next. Associated Press. U.S. Earl Blumenauer, a quirky but deeply respected figure in Oregon politics for decades, has decided no to seek re-election after 27 years in Congress, citing turmoil on Capitol Hill and a desire to be more involved in addressing the challenges facing his hometown of Portland. Known for donning a bow tie and bicycle pin, Blumenauer, 75, has served roughly 5 decades in public office at the local, state and federal level. Emblematic of the cycling culture and green living that Portland. Below are your comments. 27 years in office? Portland is a dump, from what I hear. Let's see his financial records. I'd like to see how much he made in 27 years, yet looks like he did. Ain't do much, right? I'll bet he's a multi-millionaire. Aren't they all? And got tired of the drugs and crime and moving to a new mansion in a dysfunctional because too many have been in Congress for over 20 years. You did a fantastic job. Oregon is a disaster. Yup! Exclamation mark. Oregon a homegrown ghetto. Be proud! Exclamation mark. Bring back mental hospitals, get them off the streets. Next news. Mike Johnson defends House GOP's Israel aid plan. Politico. We are trying to change how Washington works, the Louisiana Republican said. Below are your comments. Everyone sees through his word salad. They will stop at nothing to undo everything the Dems have do. Nay, that they do not agree with, and push their version of less government, less accountability, and more authoritarian style of governing, even if it costs more and adds to the Republican Party is determined to ensure that they will not be relevant for the next 25 years. People are beginning to really hate everything they stand for, and the hateful people that they say to represent them. I live in Ohio, and this Tuesday on Election Day, you are going to see a schism. If Republicans truly wanted aid for Israel, they wouldn't be playing games sending bills known to FAIL to the Senate. More MAGA my way or the highway legislation. They talk one story and do the same thing over and over and over again. Brilliant. We'll continue providing free healthcare and near-free college tuition to all of our citizens, then let the generous Americans fund our war. Next news. If Trump wins, more voters foresee better finances, staying out of war. CBS News. Biden trails Trump in potential rematch in polling a year out from 2024 presidential election. Below are your comments. Oh, by the way, Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will be expiring in 2025. Trump is already planning on giving his favorite corporations a big tax cut. That means more taxes for the working families and low-income seniors. Besides, they are already planning on cuts to Social Security and Medicare. Just when? Not sure what these voters looking at as Trump increased the deficit by over 25% in his one term, TCHED the COVID-19 response, didn't complete his border wall promises, lowered tax rates primarily benefiting the wealthy and didn't have nearly the job growth that the Biden. Looking overseas, Democrats aren't as sure about Mr. Biden avoiding an overseas war as Republicans are about Trump doing so. This Democrat sees a difficult time with aggressive enemies. I suspect that Trump would simply give in to foreign aggressors and give countries like Ukraine to his pal Putin. Next news. Column. Biden and Blinken are planning for, the day after, war in Gaza ends. Make that years after. LA Times. President Biden and his aides say they hope to revive the moribund goal of a two-state solution between Israel and the Palestinians. It will be a daunting task. Below are your comments. Stop using the U.S. as an ATM. If NATO doesn't care to get involved, on to the next line item on the docket. If two-state solution-based UN mandates is not implemented soon after the war, history has proven over and over that we'll witness more and more cycles of violence that are increasing both in intensity and frequency. The world is tired of occupying colonialism apartheid, which is the root and cause of. They've done a bang-up job already, and I'm sorry, but the same people who got us into this mess, throw in Obama and his helper Blinken, aren't getting us out. Obama's failed policies of appeasement, pallets of cash flown on military cargo planes in the middle of the night, so no. This is what happens when America has weak leadership. America and the world falls apart. Next news. Jumbled mess. The Bidenomics brand leaves nearly everyone, including Biden, baffled. NBC News. No one seems to like Bidenomics, the eponymous shorthand for Joe Biden's economic policies. Not voters, not Democratic officials, not even the president. Below are your comments. Putting aside personal views, I think this reflects a wider issue in politics. The growing movement toward politics as a spectator sport defined through soundbites, slogans, and commentary. It's another case of L. What's really surprising is the number of people that are going to vote for more of the same. Anything positive from this misguided farce is simply the result of out-of-control government spending. The billions you watched leave the country could have been used for helping out citizens of our country. Why? But they do not care about within. From the bottom up and the middle out, that's how Joe explained it. Whatever that means. People, we are in trouble. Next news. Donald Trump leads Joe Biden in 5 battleground states before 2024 election, new polls says. USA Today. Former President Donald Trump holds a lead over President Joe Biden in multiple battleground states, such as Georgia and Michigan, according to a new poll. Below are your comments. As the Trump trials heat up, the majority of voters who don't pay much attention to politics till after the conventions are going to get an earful. The Never Trump vote, which denied Trump a popular vote majorities in 2 elections, is alive and well. Trump cannot serve from prison. This is a very depressing poll. It shows that Americans across the spectrum have been swayed by the unrelenting fabulism saturating our culture. Not only has Biden been the best on the economy, and much more than the economy, in my lifetime, but Americans apparently do not care about our history. Oh, nice try, but a silent majority, Democrats, are talking at election time. Next news. Former Obama strategist wonders if Biden should stay in presidential race. Politico. What he needs to decide is whether that is wise, David Axelrod said of Biden. Below are your comments. We should have younger candidates at all levels of government. As it is, too many of our government officials become senile in office and their unelected aides and assistants make mayor decisions for them. Government shouldn't be a place where politicians go to die. We don't let pilots fly commercial airliners who are older than 65. Why would we trust running the country and control of the button to people over 75? While the population is aging and living longer, it seems being president is a difficult and stressful job, needing leaders in their prime to talk. I agree, a large portion of America voted against Trump, and really not for Biden. We need solid candidates to choose from. On both sides. Next news. In a blow to Donald Trump, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds throws her support behind Ron DeSantis. USA Today. Iowa Gov. Kim Reynolds' endorsement is a huge win for Florida Gov. Ron DeSantis as he looks to catch up with former President Donald Trump. Below are your comments. Kim Reynolds, who signed a 6-week ban on abortion. Most women wouldn't even know they were pregnant at that stage. Kim Reynolds, who amassed $310 million working for the government in various positions and real estate. Right there, that raises a plethora of questions. Above all else, Reynolds especially appreciates DeSantis' taste in footwear. On the campaign trail, Trump said he was going to fix the immigration problem. He also said that he was going to raise taxes on the rich, and it was going to cost him a lot more. Instead of lying about both of those issues. Next news. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds to endorse DeSantis for president. Politico. DeSantis had long been expected to win the popular governor's endorsement. Below are your comments. DeSantis is the strongest candidate, and were Republicans remotely clear-eyed on the greater picture, they would solidify around him and end the Trump era. I admit I don't like Trump, but I do see how he generated excitement and focused the nationalist Republican forces in the country such that they kind of like booking passage on the Titanic after it hit the iceberg. Has a woman gov ever endorsed a woman for POTUS? Has a Republican ever endorsed a woman for Speaker? I have never seen an endorsement work other than Clyburn for Biden. She's impressed with his tall, statuesque mien. See, the lifts paid off. Next news. Senator John Fetterman hits the trail in Iowa as he finds his footing again. CNN. As he sought to rally his fellow Democrats in the Midwest, Sen. John Fetterman on Saturday brought his Pennsylvania brashness to the state that bills itself as Iowa, a nice, and roasted the 2024 Republican presidential field. Below are your comments. Senate career. There's a major problem when those two words are used together. hard to fathom with regards to our present state of elected officials, that there still must exist certain standards by which representation and presentation are expected. Fetterman has lowered that bar to such a degree that practically anyone can be in public office, and he is but a stellar example. Next news. Biden's AI chief says voice cloning is what keeps him up at night. Business Insider. Biden AI chief Bruce Reed says he is worried that voice cloning technology is eroding our collective sense of trust. Below are your comments. Gee, if I were him, Biden alone would make me stay up at night. Technology is dangerous. I thought Kamala Harris was Biden's AI. Fox News has reported Biden didn't know he was being recorded when he told a little girl that she is sexy. Any species that can't handle its own creations deserves to be exterminated. AI teacher teaching newborn AIs in the future. Next news. Trump leads Biden in 5 swing states, per new polls. HuffPost. But Biden maintains a modest lead in Wisconsin. Below are your comments. If 7 in 10 people said they don't answer the phone if they don't recognize the caller, who's answering these surveys? The only poll I believe happens on election day. What happened in 2020 will happen again 2024 if Benedict Donald ends up to be the R nominee, which I doubt. Voting is like driving. To go backwards, choose R. To go forwards, choose D. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.